Hey, what's going, y'all? It is yours truly once again. So this is actually my official video for my thoughts of a Sigma female. What I mean by that is my previous video, which was a part 3, was actually a bonus video. It wasn't really a scheduled video, but I felt that it was important that I just add that to this series. So back to the regular scheduled series per se. So I had said in my previous video, part 2, that I was going to mention in the next video that I would mention more about the virtuous woman and how that ties together with the Sigma female. And yes, I do have some paperwork, of course, speaking on the Bible, because that's where it talks about the virtuous woman. It's in Proverbs chapter 31, and it starts at verse 10. So yeah, chapter 31, verse 10. I'll be reading from chapter 31, verse 10, all the way to 31. Yeah, chapter 31, verse 10 through the 31st. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. So yeah, if some of y'all want to go and grab your Bible or take notes, feel free. I guess as a disclaimer for some who may not want to listen to me read scripture, I would say just try to fast forward to the latter part of this video, and you can get a better idea of what I'm trying to say at the end. But for those who truly want to listen to me read off the scriptures and how that applies, I appreciate that. And that truly means that you are a virtuous woman, that you are a Sigma female overall, but really more or less that you're something else more than actual Sigma. And I'm going over that as time goes on. I'm trying to bring a lot of very special women to a different place in their mind. And I don't want y'all to get caught up in that Sigma bandwagon. You're something greater than a Sigma, but I'm just using the word Sigma for this particular series because I've been doing that. But it just also means that, yeah, you ladies are very rare, and and so you're so rare that you're actually not even Sigma. So I know that y'all have, just like I have as a man, have accepted Sigma to a certain extent, but that's just because, we felt like an enigma, and we felt like a part of that Sigma personality really kind of resonated with some of us. But I'm gonna tell you right now, no, it's a copycat of who we really are. And so now it's my time to really share with, especially you ladies right now, who you really are. And so let's start off with reading that here in Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10. And before we go there, actually, let's just break down virtue, right? Because this is the virtuous woman, and this will part of my way let y'all know how this actually goes together with the Sigma female. Because a lot of the studies, if you look up actual terms for the Sigma female, she is this type of a rare case of a woman who really just kind of is more upright. Even though she's mysterious in her own way, she is very upright as a woman, which is something very odd amongst the paradigm of women that you see out here in this climate today. A lot of them are just typical females instead. But I'm just reading out of a Webster dictionary what it says about virtuous. If for some who want to be more descriptive as to which book I'm reading, it is the Webster's Dictionary, the 10th edition. This was the one back in around 2002. This book, that's the year of it. So I got this when I was going off to college back in 2002. Actually, it was copyrighted back in 2001. And so this is the definition of virtuous based on that year. Now, that could have changed, but I believe that this definition is still very prolific. So, ladies, if you want, feel free to go take notes and do more studies if you would like after this video is over with. But the definition that it says in this book of this dictionary, this encyclopedia. I'm tripping. I meant dictionary. My bad, y'all. Okay, virtuous. It says obviously it's an adjective in one word that defines virtuous is potent, uh, efficacious. I don't know how you like really pronounce that. Efficacious, uh, having or exhibiting virtue, morally excellent, righteous. Uh, and it says from there you can break down and look up the words moral. So just those things, and that is pretty much an oddity amongst most females in this day and age. A lot of them lack morality, but the thing about the Sigma female, or even what it says about the virtuous woman in the scriptures, as you'll see, she held a certain type of morality because it was always a part of her. She has a certain sense of wanting to really look at the world for the way it is, and also the way that it should be, and question a lot of things that are kind of out of whack. And that's something you don't get from a lot of females these days. They don't question morality because they don't feel like that applies to them overall, and they don't want anybody to question them about morality either. Now, I'm going to switch over and read my thesaurus, which, by the way, was from the same year, copyright wise, and it's still part of the Webster's, So I got the Webster's dictionary from that year and the Webster's thesaurus from that year, which was 2001. Okay, so the thesaurus, if you look up virtue, if you just look up virtue, actually, yeah. Let me stay on point. Man, there's some good words. Okay, virtue. It just means like goodness, morality, probity, rectitude, righteousness, rightness, uprightness. This is something I really like about virtue. Fidelity, loyalty, piety. And then, of course, the cons are the antonyms: dishonesty, disloyalty, infidelity, evil, immorality, depravity. Now, amongst a lot of females, this does not surprise me. A lot of them display those antonyms, those cons. But see, the Sigma female is the opposite, because in many ways her heart is pure. It doesn't know of unrighteousness. It's not to say she's perfect, but really her heart is so pure, she doesn't know of unrighteousness. She tries to always walk upright. That's always been the way that she's lived. In many ways, a lot of the quote-unquote Sigma females were born into evil families. But a lot of you females, a lot of you women, because y'all were real women. Y'all were not typical females. But a lot of y'all, as y'all grew up, y'all know that things weren't right and you didn't feel right. You didn't gel right with your family, especially with the ladies in your family. In my next series, I'm going to talk about the conflict between other ladies in your family and things like that. Y'all going to like the next series on that, by the way. But continuing on, some more synonyms. It's about being excellent, excellency, merit, perfection. So yes, this is a great quality. Yes, and there's also another synonym. That word is quality. That's another synonym with virtue. So yes, that means that the Sigma female is probably the highest quality of woman, right? Very quality about her. Everything you do is quality. Everything you do is very meticulous. Everything you do is of such esteem. You have a lot of great self-esteem about you. Maybe it's not something that's in you right away, but it's something that's naturally occurring in you, because you obviously, you could be like a neat freak, or you could just be eclectic. But self-esteem is not something that you really struggle with as a Sigma female who is really the virtuous woman. It's more or less something that becomes a part of you. And if there's something that you might need to change, you'll just change it. But it's not something you necessarily struggle with, self-esteem. You have a great quality because you got this high quality about you. You got this perfection about you. Relative words: attribute, characteristic, feature, property. I don't know what that means as far as the property part. Effectiveness, effectualness, efficiencies, force, might, power, strength. So yes, you are a powerful woman if you have this sense of virtue about you, which I believe is the Sigma female, the virtuous woman in the power. The virtuous woman that's in the Bible. You have a lot of power. You're a powerful woman. Think of yourself as Jean Ray. Look up Jean Ray. But see, the opposite side of Jean Ray was Phoenix. Phoenix was basically the Jean Ray when Jean Ray got ticked off. So that means, yes, a Sigma female can get very ticked off. Don't make her upset. She's a wonderful, docile type of a woman and a very wonderful, docile type of a creature, but do not get her upset. She's a very powerful woman in her own way of humility, timidity. She does not try to display anger or strife or hatred, but don't make her upset either, okay? There's a lot of different words, and so just for the sake of time, I will not necessarily go over every single word that I see in this thesaurus, because I want to get to the scriptures, and I'm actually going to do maybe a part 2 of this virtuous woman over at my other channel, the other Ray J Angelic. I will leave a link for that once I feel like everything is all together. I'll just continue to cover that specific part of the virtuous woman, like these different definitions. Let me see. Yeah, so let's go forth. I guess one thing I could bring up that I could give y'all a hint about as to what I'm gonna talk about with the virtuous woman over at my other channel. This one is great. I'm gonna be talking more on what it says in here. It says, innocent as a lamb in the clear, without reproach. Whoo, man, is that not great? Is that not great? So pure, it says that righteousness. No, so these are a lot of things that you're going to see that's in the Bible. And that a lot of times when you look up a lot of different studies about the Sigma female, a lot of her mysteriousness, once you unravel and unwrap that mysteriousness, you realize how pure of a woman she really is. Okay. So what I have next to me, I have to my right the King James Bible, and I also have to the left of me the Thompson's Bible. I'm going to read from the Thompson's Bible just because it's clear, it's more understood. You don't have to hear the thee, thou, and the thy. You don't have to hear those words. So if some of y'all ladies got the King James Bible, feel free to get that too. I'm going to be reading from the Thompson's Bible though. And so just so it can be clear and so people can understand, you know what I mean? So, okay, like I said, just to kind of wrap this video up here, let's start Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10. And we're going to read maybe all the way to 31. If not, that means, like I said, I'm going to probably add another portion of this virtuous woman part of the video over at my other channel. So I'll leave a link for that. Like I said, I'll leave a link. So let's get going. Okay, so the way that this Bible breaks it down, it starts off with saying the description of a worthy woman. Interesting. A worthy woman. So I don't know if that means that it's kind of a standard that any woman can be or something that she can strive to. I say the latter, something that most women, most females, and yes, even most women will have to strive to, because only a few of them are actually virtuous women. Only a few of them. So I think this is something that most can strive to, but there are some rare exceptions, these enigmas, these certain type of women that pretty much kind of are almost every description that's in this Bible. And there's a certain way you've been walking most of your life. You basically, ladies, y'all basically were the type that you were too good to be true to a lot of guys. They ran away from you because you were so good to them. I had one of my newest subscribers tell me about this whole idea that nice girls finish last. That's a good point. I think that should be kind of a good video topic. And if y'all do something and do a spinoff on that, please let yours truly know. I would love to see that type of video. Maybe I might chime in and do something similar. But yeah, a lot of the Sigma females were the good girls that finished last, the nice girls that finished last. Because a lot of these guys thought y'all were too good to be true. You took good care of him. You actually showed him affection. You actually were there for him. You were kind of quiet and mystique in your own ways, but you were always there for him, and he wasn't used to that. So he ran away out of fear. And then many years later, after all of his destruction, he was like, dang, you actually were good for me. Wow. So yes, starting off, Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10. Let's go. An excellent wife, who can find? Her worth is far above jewels. Now going on to verse 11. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. No lack of gain. Notice, no lack of gain. It's not that he will have a lack of gain. He will have no lack of gain. meaning that she's helping him move ahead. She's motivating him. That's a beautiful thing. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She looks for wool and flax and works with her hands in delight. She is like merchant ships. She brings forth food from afar. That's deep right there. They can break down that in a, woo, that's deep right there. She rises so while it is still night, meaning that she's always really like up to something. She's always trying to do things, and she's tending to the household and things like that. There's just always that about her. She's very productive in her own way. Even if she doesn't have a job, but she's being like the housewife, it don't matter. She's just very productive, and gives food to her household. See that part, making sure that everybody's fed, taken care of, especially if, she's with a hardworking man. And even if she's not, let's say she's courting a man, she's going to basically probably be the type to go over to his house. Hey, honey, do you want me to stop by and cook you something? That type of thing. Beautiful, right? Sigma female, virtuous woman. Hear me out. And portions to her maidens, meaning that she's not selfish. She shares. She considers a field and buys it, meaning that she thinks like an entrepreneur. She's in her own way a boss chick. But like I said in my previous video, she's the boss's chick, her boss is her husband per se. And she's doing all this for him, all that she has in mind, all this ambition she's putting towards them together. And that's rare. You don't see that with a lot of females today. They're not trying to build nothing with their men, if you will. You know what I'm saying? They want to keep it all to themselves, So, yeah. From her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself up with strength. Now, in the King James Bible, I know for sure it says her loins, she girds herself up with strength. So she means she's keeping herself pure. Even sexually, all that, she's keeping herself pure. It makes her arm strong, so she's not a weak woman in every single way, sense of form. Not that she's trying to look muscular, but she's got some fortitude about herself, and that's something that, with a lot of oddity women that are enigmas, a lot of them were treated as tomboys because there were things that they can do, like with their hands. They can get their hands dirty, but they were still feminine in every way, and only a few women can pull this off. Only a few. And that's why this keeps taking me back to how this is really depictive of this Sigma female, this Sigma enigma of a female. I'm going to keep bringing that enigma word in because that's what it's really all about with yours truly going forth. We're going to evolve from this Sigma to enigma, okay? She senses that her gain is good. Her lamp does not go out at night. Woo-wee, her lamp, all right? Her lamp. That could mean two things. That means for her job is never done, but that also means to me, her shining of her light. The light, the glow that's on her, this beautiful essence about her, this glow, and the happiness that she has for her man, her husband, the masculine principles that he's put upon her. Her light never goes out. She never gets mad at him. She accepts his masculine principles. And so that is what keeps her so bright. Like that keeps her very bright. So she stretches out her hands to the distaff and her hands grabs to the spindle. She extends her hand to the poor. Like I said, going back earlier, she shares. She's not stingy. She's not selfish. She stretches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. Now, how many chicks you think these days really are taking care of their household? Especially if you look at all the different personality types out there. Now, a lot of them don't even know how to take care of their household. A lot of them out here just doing reckless things. And the last thing they're thinking about is even vacuuming the floor. Come on now. So, and by the way, I'm at verse 22 now, where I'm at Proverbs chapter 31, verse 22. And so she makes coverings for herself. Her clothing is of fine linen and purple. So that means that, yes, she always looks good. She takes care of herself. She looks good. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits amongst the elders of the land. So she got around a man that he's very intelligent. He's into the know of a lot of different things. She's not with no bum. So that's one thing for sure about the Sigma female. She doesn't want to be misled. She wants to be around basically a man that's just like her in his own way. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say, going back to the true lone wolves, not these Sigmas trying to call themselves lone wolves, but the true lone wolves, these people that are enigmas, if you will. A true lone wolf has to get with another lone wolf, okay? Don't be mixing up with all these other forms. You can do what you want, right? It's your prerogative. You can get with anybody you want to get with, but that doesn't mean the results and the outcomes are going to be what you desired it to be. Because obviously, I just read to you here in the scripture about what her husband is like. She's with a decent man. She's not with no bad boy. She's not with no Chad, Tyrone, Pookie, and Ray Ray. This is something that is unacceptable for the virtuous woman, aka the Sigma female, or as I'm trying to transition a lot of ladies to thinking more of themselves as an enigma, because that's what you've been all your life. Long before you knew of this word called Sigma, you've been an enigma, okay? And only someone that's been an enigma would think that way about making sure that she's with a decent man. She walks it like she talks it. That's very odd in this day and age. She would get around other female counterparts that might be like, look, you kind of being a little too picky, girl. You need to just go on and be with him. He cool, he's sexy. But the Sigma female per se, or the enigma of the type of woman that you are, she's more like, no, that just because that's what you think I should be with, that doesn't mean that I think that's the right type of man for me. This is my choice, my life, my body. You know how to think for yourself. That's what I love about these type of women. They definitely know how to think for themselves and make sure they're doing the right things out here, because that's becoming very rare. So I think I'm going to stop there as far as the scriptures. I can keep going on and read the rest of this chapter, but I just wanted to kind of break down a little bit of what this was about, because I said I was going to do that for the next video in this My Thoughts of a Sigma Female series. And I know there may be some of the women out there that may not be into the Bible and things like that. And I understand about some of your religious backgrounds and things you've been through and the spiritualities you might be a part of outside of Christianity and all that. I get that. But when I'm speaking on here, what I'm about to say to you, I hope you really take it in. What if I were to tell you that in many ways you are beyond human? You were born into a certain type of a family, though, for your building up as the type of creature that you literally are. It was for your edifying. It was for building up your strength. And so these scriptures actually are a good template for you to follow, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of your backgrounds. I really recommend that you ladies, no matter what your background is, you do get the Bible and you read these scriptures, because you have, okay, let me just say this and let me get this out the way. Since I'm trying to show y'all ladies to step away from Sigma and don't follow that bandwagon, don't say no more that you even have the Sigma personality. You have an angelic personality. There was something angelic about you. That's why the Bible had to have that included in there, the virtuous woman. Who can find her? Who can literally find an angel, right? Who knows of someone that is angelic when they are around them? Because what we see right now is a bunch of people that are demonic that are around us. Yes, yours truly has known of different and many demonic type of females that aren't real women. So I'll tell you right now, I definitely can spot and discern when there is an angelic one around my way. And that lets me know that, yes, there's something definitely different about her. And she might, just might, be virtuous. Signing out.